Hello everyone. Today I was thinking of doing something a little different than what you might be used to. So I'm a big fan of Warhammer 40k, right? And YouTube is a real treasure trove of Warhammer fan content. And I thought that I would take one of the animations that a great animator, a Korean animator by the name of SODAZ, however you pronounce it. I'll obviously leave a link to his channel in the description, you know, all the generic YouTube stuff. I thought that I would take his animation called Siege and break it down a little bit while we go on about watching it. But before we do, I want to give you just a bit of context, okay? So there are going to be two groups in this animation. They're going to be the Iron Warriors and the Imperial Fists. So get used to their color schemes so that whenever I refer to them, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So let's jump right in. So what you can see here is the I would say lieutenant, I wouldn't say captain, but the lieutenant is here. Strong silent type, you know how it is. Looks to his buddy runs off, clearly preparing some defenses for the siege. I love that transition to go to the outside where the siege is going down, and as you can see here, let me pause that there. I always love the architecture I love the architecture from Warhammer because, what can I say? I'm a sucker for Gothic architecture, and as you can see here where I'm pointing, I just love like the arches and all the Gothic architecture is like so full of art. It's just there. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let's continue. I love how that blue, the plasma cannon, the blue light that you saw, has the sound effect from Terminator. So, twin-linked las cannon, huge laser cannon, las cannon. See, it's like I'm already teaching you everything you need to know. So yes, that's the Iron Warriors logo that I mentioned earlier. Basically the evil Space Marines and masters of siege warfare. And I love this little tidbit, which is obviously inspired by Astartes, where he just plans to take the plane and just ram it right into the fortification. That's totally from Astartes. I love the glowing red eyes that they have. Very menacing. Very menacing. Then you get your poor Imperial Guardsmen. Yeah, Imperial Guardsmen are basically just regular humans like you or I. And yeah, basically we can't stand up to the might of Space Marines. They will crush us in an instant. Got a meaty autocannon. Yeah, that's another thing. In Warhammer, everyone loves melee combat. And so a lot of the time they're going to run up really close to you and they're going to try to hit you with a knife. And I mean, a Space Marine knife is like a sword for us because they're just so huge. Basically like a Shaquille O'Neal with like 20 pickup trucks worth of metal slapped onto them. I was setting up a second generator. Setting up a las cannon, like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, another thing is that even though the Space Marines are so big and they've got all this armor on, they can move pretty damn quickly. Like, not like anime, like teleports behind you, nothing personal, kid. Like, they're not that fast, but like, it's the kind of fast that if you see a Space Marine, you think you can outrun him, and then in like 2 seconds flat, he's closed the distance and you're dead. Here we go. The final confrontation. Yeah, Space Marine guns called bolt guns fire basically 40mm grenades as regular bullets. So yeah, when you get hit, your head's gonna pop like right off. Awesome, sorry. Yeah, the guys in red are basically Martians. They're called Skitarii. They're from Mars. They worship something called the Omnissiah, and they love technology. Sometimes a little bit too much. We could talk about them in a separate video. The final charge. Down goes the Dreadnought, and down goes the Guardsman. I almost forgot to mention. You see this book that he has here? We aren't 100% sure what it is. Like, it could just be something that the animator completely made up on his own. But what I would like to think it is would be a STC, a standard template construct, right? Basically, it's a blueprint to build a machine to build more stuff. Because in Warhammer, people don't really have the knowledge to build things normally anymore. And so we're kind of forced. Like, look, STCs, I could make like a 10-minute video about them. But let's finish with this. I don't want to bloat the video too much. Down goes the Dreadnought. Here comes the final squad of Iron Warriors to finish the job. Bayonet, and you're dead. Melee combat. Yeah, the captain swinging around what's called a thunder hammer. It's this flippin' huge hammer, which like has a shield generator inside of it, right? So like at the last second when it hits, it activates, and it creates this like this repelling force. So when it hits, it basically explodes whatever it's hitting. But since it was hitting like such a huge machine, which is called the Dreadnought, by the way, as you've heard me mention a couple times, it obviously didn't blow up immediately, but it shows you that even a Space Marine who's like that small compared to the Dreadnought can punch above his weight, essentially. But it wasn't enough. And down goes the Lieutenant. But just when all hope seems lost, you just do what you gotta do. And that's blow up the whole facility. Taking down all your enemies with you. Now we've got the Skitarii running away. And, well, running to safety with the mysterious package. So, that was Siege by SODAZ. Obviously, I'm going to leave a link to his channel and his video in the description. If you want to watch this in its entirety, just go watch it, because I think it's a great animation. I think it's a great gateway to get people that aren't fans of it to at least be slightly interested. Like, oh, you know, that's kind of cool. Like, big armored super soldiers blowing each other up. Sounds like your cup of tea? Well, maybe Warhammer is your cup of tea. But in future, I'll definitely be making more Warhammer videos. So, you have that to look forward to.